through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it aloud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key, make the big switch. Power to the people, time to teach the rich. Legal battles can't hold him, he's moving on. With plans so bold, from dusk till dawn. He's rewriting the rules, a new dawn's day. From the hands of the few to the people's way. Say goodbye to old chains, embrace the new. A financial revolution, fair and true. For the workers, the dreamers, side by side. In Trump's new era, let freedom rise. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key, make the big switch. Power to the people, time to ditch the rich. He's a fighter, a leader with a plan to share. A world of justice, well spread fair. Forget the old guards, the time is done. Under the banner of Trump, we all have won. So
Welcome, everyone, to the Crazy Cryptonaut channel. I am Zester, and thank you guys so much for joining me this afternoon. With a 30-minute push on this one, I can say fairly certainly I will no longer be as confused about whether I should say good morning or good afternoon. I hope everyone, though, is having an awesome into the week. And what's up, Mile High Trish? Yes, happy Friday to you as well. Happy Friday, Miss Mary Jones. And yes, Mary Jones. From now on, we're going to be starting at noon on Monday and Friday. That way we don't have, some days like, an Andy or a Mr. C, somebody's on there and they've got really interesting things to talk about and they're going longer than usual. Don't want to be having that time crunch. And then, of course, on Wednesdays, very excited to now just be doing the crypto segment over there on the original Mark Z. Just as a heads up, folks, it probably will stay more of a presentation style and less of a question and answer style on Wednesdays because, hey, sometimes folks aren't getting any of the crypto news. With everything going on, it's important. Need to take advantage of that time to get everyone as up to date as possible on what's going on in the crypto landscape. But so thank you so much, Mary Jones, for joining us. And this will be the new time, at least for now, unless Pops decides he wants to make any other changes to the schedule. But I don't think that he's going to. Don't think he is. Good morning, Crazy Chester. Good morning. And man, Mile High Trish, you have had just the craziest of busy weeks. And no, we'll absolutely be thinking about you on the MRI. Hopefully, all good news on that front. And I want to join for one of these garden talks, Trish. I want to know where is Gardening with Trish, the YouTube channel. The rest of us want in on all of this gardening knowledge. Good morning, D. Flynn. Good morning. What's up, Sandy? Good morning, Reno. Hey, Brooks. Howdy, Zester from 62-degree Graham, North Carolina. How are you doing, man? 62 degrees? Man, that doesn't sound too bad. From what my brother's been saying, in the Piedmont area, North Carolina has just been having particularly bipolar temperature and weather over the past few weeks. He said one day it's beautiful, don't worry about anything. And the next day, it's either windy, tornado, freezing cold, you pick, or maybe all the above. I don't know if you've been seeing the same over there, Brooks. What's up, Pocket? What's up, Pocket? Your name always tries to get me. Always tries to get me. It cracks me up each time, and I almost go to say the entire name every time. But super, super glad to have you, man. Good morning, Doug. Our best days are ahead of all of us. Keep the faith, Doug. Absolutely, absolutely. That is probably one of the most important things to remember nowadays with everything going on, because it's very easy to look at everything going on in the world and take a very pessimistic mindset. I know I've had to make certain and keep myself out of that, especially when you're going through certain things. There's, digging through the Epstein files, things of that nature. You've got to do it. It's important. We all need to be aware, but darn, talk about something that puts you in a crappy mood for an extended period of time. There's a lot going on in the world that fits into that category, Doug. And so I think you're totally correct. We've got to keep the faith right now. Good morning, Franco64. Good morning. Good morning. Before I continue with saying hellos, please do remember, guys, as we jump into the crypto chat and all of that, remember the content in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes, not intended to provide financial advice. Please consult with a financial professional before making investment decisions. Absolutely. Mile High Trish, it's only 9 a.m. here. Well, hey, I can tell you all about the future. We're sitting at 12:08 here on the island. And so if you want to know anything, I got you, Trish. I'm 3 hours in the future. Tout va bien. Good morning. Good morning. Tout va bien says, good morning, Mod, Zester, Chester, and Fab followers. The sun is shining in Va Beach. Va Beach. That is awesome. I hope you're having a great morning, Toot. And I suppose at some point we can get everybody in the Virginia Beach area upset and we can have a conversation about the proper pronunciation of Norfolk. I'm from the South, and so it always cracked me up when Virginians would sit there and call it Norfolk. I'm like, where do y'all think your state resides? That one just always cracks me up. I'm weird about a lot of different words and names and things. They get stuck in my head. And for some reason, Norfolk has been stuck in my head since I was a child because of how many family members I have that live in that area, in the Virginia Beach area. How is it pronounced, Toot Bobby? And you tell me. Reno, it seems we're hearing about Michael C codes for some time. What is exactly up? Michael, Mr. C, when it comes down to it, because of the nature of it, every time I've talked to him, he knows what his role is in the entire procedure, but because of his role, the importance of it, and etc., he is not regularly read in on a lot of it. He's been told what's going to happen. He's been told that he's not going to know when it happens, and he's been told to not touch currencies. And so it is, though, Reno. That one's definitely. It'd be a lot more fun if they told Mr. C that stuff, because he would tell us. Mr. C would totally let us know the second that they do. He has got no fear. Keep your mind out of the gutter. Absolutely. Robbie Buck, hello, Zester. If they keep cloud seeding, nobody will be working in the gardens. Hey, Robbie, it is a concern. It absolutely is a concern. And the sad part of it, Robbie, is that we're probably going to get to a point where it's going to be safer to actually grow your produce and all of that organic material in something more like a hydroponic or an aeroponic system if we don't see a change on that side. It's the same thing when you live right next to a major highway. Unfortunately, the emissions and the burning of the gasoline running along it has heavy metals in it. And guess what? Those heavy metals, they land somewhere. And so There really is. Unfortunately, we do have an influence on the natural state of the world around us. I'm not talking about the whole global warming thing, but when it comes down to it, harmful chemicals and pollutants, that's a really, really real danger. But we're supposed to be talking about crypto. But yeah, you're totally right, Robbie. Absolutely. We'll have to have gardening hour. I'll come on to Trisha's show and we'll do a gardening hour and we'll discuss all the woes of the world on that side. Reno Hightower, is there anything good going on in this world? Reno, I believe that there is. There's a lot of people with a lot of faith. And I think that a lot of people are turning back to their faith in this modern world. And so when it comes down to it, Reno, I think that there is a lot of good. We're seeing it. We see it. Unfortunately, it's just not what the news covers. It's not what you're going to see on Fox. It's not what you're going to see on MSN. It doesn't matter which lamestream source you go to. You're not going to see the good. You're only going to see the bad because right now, that's the messaging. They want us all to be terrified. They want us all to be scared. And so, unfortunately, we don't get any more of the puppy stories on the morning news. We instead get all of the horror stories. But I believe, Reno, I believe strongly. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Michelle. Mr. C staying in his lane, Franco. Absolutely. Mr. C's learned. Mr. C has learned. And everybody that's gotten to listen along with Mr. C's life story knows why he takes the mentality he does. And he is one feisty fella. And so it's hard for him to stay that way, but he does. He's learned. 871 for a gallon of gas in California. Yeah, it's all fun. The meme with the dog drinking its cup of coffee in the house on fire with a little blurb, it's all fine. That very much feels like the world right now, Reno. If you were to embody the world in a singular meme, that meme pretty much does it. All right, D. Flynn, what's your prediction for the lows on BTC and XRP? D. Flynn, that one is always very, very hard because there are multiple, I see there being multiple different paths forward. And so with that, D. Flynn, let's jump straight in to actually the news of the day because that's going to probably, I think, we're going to talk a lot about that, in all honesty. A matter of fact, a few of our articles today are discussing some of the different changes from a technical analysis standpoint in terms of the charts for both Bitcoin and for gold or precious metals. And also the elephant ultimately in the room right now is the Clarity Act. And something that I really want to dig into today and that I think is becoming fairly self-evident across more than just cryptocurrency. It's the stock market, it's precious metals, it's commodities, it's everywhere. We live in a world of uncertainty. And so we're definitely going to jump into that one. And D. Flynn, my biggest fear is the continuation of this uncertainty. The Clarity Act passage plays a very large part in that for the cryptocurrency side, but ultimately the uncertainty that we're facing right now is global, and it's more than crypto. It's more than the stock market. It's more than any country. Let's jump into that one. Let's jump into it. Well, actually, before I do, I got to see on this one because I was in the same situation on the bad tooth part. Proud Air Americans. That's, hey, buddy, so glad you're back, feeling good. Mom, and we're praying for you. Bad tooth put me in the hospital for 10 days. Infection seeped into bloodstream and caused pneumonia. I'm glad you turned out good, brother. Man, absolutely proud Air American. I will be definitely putting out more prayers. I did not know that you had to go and spend 10 days in the hospital for it. It seems like something on that side is going around. 3 or 4 different people I know down here in Puerto Rico all ended up with an incredibly horrible respiratory infection, whether it was in the lungs or whether it was in the nasal, and also had a tooth immediately go bad at the same time. I don't know what it is on that front, but I know how darn painful it is, man. And so I am sorry to hear that. Absolutely. It is crazy how painful that is. And so I am glad, though, that it sounds like you're feeling better. Now, keep us up to date, proud Arab American. Absolutely. All right, though, let's go ahead. Let's start on it. As always, we're going to start off with a look at the charts because, well, we're back below 70,000. We've got Bitcoin sitting at $69,964 a pop. Ethereum still sitting at 21.38. XRP sitting at $1.44 a go. Because I do want to make certain to keep up with it a bit more, and it's a little bit lower down the chart. Let's check Stellar just to see where we're at. Stellar sitting at 16 and a half pennies at this very, very moment. All right, though, the big one, and we finally got a little bit of information. Crypto Clarity Act inches toward Senate hearing as lawmakers weigh legislative trades. And so, just yesterday, we had a Republican get together on trying to figure out a path forward for the Clarity Act. Now, according to Senator Cynthia Lummis, we are actually sitting at a far, far, far better position on the stablecoin yield question. She actually put that whole kerfuffle at a 99% solved. It was what the office, Senate Cynthia Lummis's office put out. So apparently, lawmakers have come to some sort of a compromise on stablecoin yield in the Crypto Clarity Act. Now, this verbiage was actually sent to the White House yesterday. And so we have yet to get a response from Trump, from the White House, on whether he is willing to accept these compromises. I would say, because of the closeness of Senator Cynthia Lummis and President Donald Trump, I highly doubt that she would feel so confident if she did not expect that the president was also going to be happy with it. Remember, President Trump has endorsed all of her crypto legislation. And so when it comes down to it, their offices are absolutely in communication on this subject. And she believes that the stablecoin yield question has been solved. But now we get into, well, something else came up. And the big part about that is now we're actually seeing the banking lobby push for essentially legislative trades. And so the banking lobby is saying, hey, we're still not happy about this. You essentially gave us everything we wanted on the stablecoin yield compromise, but we still think that this technology and stablecoins are going to essentially bankrupt the financial system. All right, I think they're right. On Wednesday, we looked at the average savings account rate sitting at 0.39 in the United States as of March, or AKA right now. And we're looking at 4.7% being offered over on Coinbase for USDC. That's just sitting on the platform. That's over 10x. It's over 10 times more, substantially over 10 times more. And so the banks have a legitimate reason to be concerned. Ultimately, even if you handicap cryptocurrency and stable coins, even if you chop them off at the knees, they're still going to win that foot race. And so we are now having more and more complications thrown into the Crypto Clarity Act. Stablecoin yield at 99% resolved, but a new political trade has just complicated everything else. And so, first article goes off talking about that GOP, the Republican get-together that occurred yesterday. And we got a little bit of information. We didn't really get a lot. So Eleanor Terrett essentially is the only major journalist that has put out these two different stories. So we're definitely going to have to trust Eleanor. But a lot of what she said has been confirmed by the office of Senator Cynthia Lummis. So let's dig into what all Tourette reported. So, Senator Cynthia Lummis told reporters after the meeting, which was attended also by White House Crypto Council Executive Patrick Witt, that negotiations on stablecoin yield are making progress, but do remain in a delicate state. The focus, Lummis said, had shifted from finalizing legislative text to identifying which stakeholders still need to be brought on board. Talk about a very, very, very specific or direct choice of verbiage. She told reporters she believed major light bulbs were switched on during the session and that the path forward was one she had not expected when she walked in. Witt, who emerged from the meeting looking frustrated, which is not great considering he's the one who's going to be positioning or propositioning these compromises to President Trump himself, had no comment. Tim Scott emerged smiling, declined to comment. He never speaks in the hallways. Hours later, Tourette posted a update sourced directly from Lummis's press team with a more specific reading. Negotiations are 99% of the way to resolution on stablecoin yield. And unfortunately, the remaining friction is not technical, it's political. And so, Senate banking Republicans are now discussing attaching community bank deregulatory provisions to the Clarity Act in exchange for the House accepting the Senate's housing package in its current form. That proposal was raised in yesterday's meeting. This is a significant development. The Clarity Act began as a digital asset market structure bill, what we've talked about, and it's now being drawn into a broader legislative trade involving housing policy and community bank regulations. I personally, I view that as one buttload of hogwash. No part of passing legislation that betters the lives of Americans should be viewed as some sort of a horse trade. It really shouldn't. But this is where we are currently sitting at. They are trying to essentially give the banking lobby as many wins on other legislation as they possibly can because they gave the banks what they wanted on stablecoin yield. I'm certain that they gave it to them. That's the reason that Senator Cynthia Lummis can say that she's 99% positive that the stablecoin yield conversation is to a resolution is because they got what they wanted. Now the banks are going back and saying, well, we got what we wanted. Now we want more. And unfortunately, we don't have time for this. When it comes down to it, the Crypto Clarity Act at this point has 17 working weeks left. And we have not managed to get it to the White House. And so, where is this? 18 weeks, but this article comes from the 17th. I'm going to go ahead and round everything a little bit. 17 working weeks. Because we've got Easter, we've got summer break, because apparently they go to college when you become a legislator for the federal government of the United States. So we've got a buttload of holidays all coming up for all of our hardworking senators and representatives. And of course, we've got midterms and an ongoing conflict in the Middle East and a absolutely Trump deranged Democratic Party that doesn't care about making logical or rational decisions for the United States. If it was Trump's idea, it's a bad idea. And so we are in a little bit of a pickle when it comes down to the timeline. Now, Senator Cynthia Lummis strongly believes, and she actually put out this statement as well yesterday, she strongly believes that the Clarity Act can be passed by the end of April. Now, that has pushed us outside of quarter one, which I'm not happy about. But it would be a lot better if we got it done in April than if we don't get it done at all. Because in all honesty, looking at the political landscape right now, if we don't get this done before these midterms, this conversation might be one we're having in 2028. And so we are running out of time. It is extremely important that this continues to push forward. And unfortunately, it looks like the only way to make it happen is going to be taking a lot of crap from the banking sector. The fact that we do have this verbiage, to me, is just absolutely insane. I understand what Cynthia Loomis is doing here. I get it. But ultimately, why? Finalizing legislative to identify which stakeholders need to be brought on board. Stakeholders. Who are we protecting right now? Who is it we're worried about? Is there some magical person in this country, some magical company whose opinion is just more valuable than the rest of ours? I'm not certain. I don't appreciate the vagueness of that one. I assume she means something very, very, very specific, but I do not appreciate the uncertainty that includes inside of it. But that is where we sit currently on the Crypto Clarity Act. It appears as if the conversation has now shifted from stablecoin yield over to what other gifts is the banking sector going to get for not making more of a kerfuffle over this entire thing. Wouldn't say that's optimal, but we could have gotten worse news. And so to keep things on the positive side, ultimately, it appears that there is a path forward. The Clarity Act absolutely can be passed. It's not going to happen in Q1, but it seems very possible that it could be passed in Q2. All right, let's go ahead and jump to the next one. And I think this is particularly darn cool. We are seeing Major Gold Trade Group releases framework for tokenized gold. The World Gold Council says that it will develop a platform to connect physical gold to the systems used to issue and manage tokenized gold products. We've been talking about it. We've been able to use Pax Gold and Tether Gold as examples of where things are going and how this is progressing. This is just even more of an establishment of the overall framework. And so, Major Gold Trade Association, the World Gold Council, and the Boston Consulting Group have proposed a new platform to modernize how precious metals operate in digital financial systems. The WGC said on Thursday that it published a white paper on gold as a service, a new platform to support the issuance and operations of scalable, interoperable digital gold products. The open platform would connect the physical custody of gold with the digital systems used to issue and manage tokenized gold products. By standardizing essential markets, processes such as custody coordination, reconciliation, compliance, and redemption, the model aims to reduce operational complexity, improve access, and enable greater consistency across digital gold products, so says the WGC. Now, crypto native tokenized gold products such as Tether Gold or Pax Gold, we talk about those regularly, which have formed their own custody, compliance, and redemption models, but the World Gold Council standard could have more sway with institutions due to the trade group's prominence. I think this is a very, very good sign for the overall speed in which we are seeing tokenized gold and tokenized silver being brought to market. I do think that it is very important to have a global standard in terms of how we are going to account for, how are we going to reconcile the physical gold sitting in the bank vault or the physical silver and the amount of digital tokens that are floating around inside of that ecosystem. It is extremely important. I far prefer the idea of a global standard on how it operates. Pax Gold, though, and Tether Gold, I don't say that to mean what they've set up is bad. It's just when you set up your own rules, you probably are going to set up the rules to make certain that you win. And so I think it would be far better if we did have a global framework for how they're going to work, because it's going to be globally traded. Ultimately, there are going to be vaults of gold and silver all over this planet. And somebody in Singapore is going to make a purchase or they're going to send money to someone who is sitting inside of the United States. The gold's not moving from, say, some bank that it sits in Southeast Asia. It's not physically moving. It's going to become a very important thing for there to be a global standard on this. Otherwise, we're going to have bad actors who are out there putting out fluffed up numbers, messed up things of that nature. It's better. And so I view this as actually a very, very major step forward on the tokenized precious metal standpoint. The beginning of a global framework for how we're going to regulate it and how we're going to deal with it. Because Crypto Clarity Act and the Genius Act, those are just US. That's just us. Now, most of the time, the world tends to follow our lead on a lot of these things, but it's not mandated and it's not how it always works. And so we are going to need agreements that are outside of just what our federal government is going to say the rules are. And we continue to see more on the gold and precious metals front. Bybit launches yield-bearing tokenized gold product tied to Exalt, aka Tether Gold. Crypto exchange is offering a yield product tied to Tether Gold, signaling a shift toward turning traditionally passive assets like gold into income-generating instruments. I keep saying it. I'm never going to stop saying it. Everybody that holds precious metals is going to benefit so massively from it turning traditionally passive assets like gold into income-generating instruments. Gold is not and never has been a matter of wealth generation. It's been a matter of wealth preservation. And that is what's changing with this. Gold and silver are no longer a matter of preserving wealth. They're a matter of growing wealth. And that is what we are seeing happen in real time. And so I love seeing this type of stuff. I definitely love hearing that type of verbiage on it. And I'm very excited to see where this one goes. I'm not a huge Bybit fan, but this is an indication of the overall market. A lot of these guys that have been in it for a very long time, like Bybit, they've got that head start. You're going to see them bring to market a lot of these products faster than the competitors, especially the traditional financial competitors. Look at Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo just patented and trademarked its stablecoin a few weeks ago. Wells Fargo should have all the capital in the world to be leading in terms of this race towards digitization and tokenization, and yet they're not. Because they are such large enterprises. It takes a long time to turn a really big boat. And so these crypto companies are coming out faster than any of the traditional finance. Bybit, there's nothing wrong with Bybit, but they're not my favorite. But it's very exciting to see the yield-bearing tokenized gold products come forward. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Tether either. And so you're not going to see me holding XAUT. You're just not going to see it. But, hey, it is a clear indication of where we're moving. Just because they're doing it right now doesn't mean that they're going to end up winning the race. I have a feeling we're going to see more and more tokenized gold yield-bearing products being offered. Retail. All right, this one, not even related to cryptocurrency, but I could not resist talking about it. Retail tripled gold buying in the last 6 months as Wall Street sells. Retail-driven exuberance in gold and silver ETFs and leveraged positions led to the end of the precious metals rally, reported the EIS. This one I just included because of the fact that retail investors led the charge. They tripled over the last 6 months, while Wall Street selling accelerated over the past 4 months. Retail-driven exuberance, increasingly channeled through ETFs, set the stage for outsized moves. Continuing the precious metal rally from 2025, reported the BIS in its quarterly review. Retail investors since quarter 2 of 2025 have bought around $70 billion in gold ETFs. Interesting. Retail driven. Whenever you see retail driving a market and you see institutionals, you see Wall Street selling, you always got to wonder what they know or what they're trying to hide. Were they trying to dump all of that paper silver and paper gold on the market? That's kind of what I would think. All right, before we jump to our the rest of our articles for today, let's see what all I've missed. Let's see what all I've missed. Oh man, yeah, proud of America. Well, the tooth pain went away, and I thought it was all healed, but then a week or two later, that's what happened. And my right lung filled with fluid, and I collapsed. It was a few years ago, so I'm going. Oh man, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. But yeah, holy cow, does a bad tooth feel like an otherworldly degree of pain? Good morning, hey there, JC Diamond. Doug, the fees they're charging to move money to buy crypto are insane, plus the limits and on and on. Banks should be happy. They're just ripping people off. Absolutely. Absolutely, Doug. The fees are ridiculous, especially if you're buying with credit or debit cards. They are extortionate fees. And, Doug, when it comes down to it, the banks should be extremely, extremely happy about the fact that they have been given so much of a head start, so much of an opportunity, I should say, to have a head start in this. But, well, they're greedy. They want even more. They want more. Franco, this is the thing most people don't realize. This is already done. We're just watching it play out in the media. Just saying. Franco, I think a lot of it is exactly that way. We know where we're going to end. We know the end result. But ultimately, we don't know all the curves and twists along the way. I would have to say, though, I'm of a similar belief. I don't think that this is something that can be stopped. I think this is something that can be delayed. I think it can be delayed. Absolutely. To Robbie, and the correct pronunciation is Nor. Believe it or not, Norfolk. Yeah, it's pretty much how it comes out to. It's pretty much how it comes out to. But yeah, it always cracked me up because people take it so seriously there. Like you say Norfolk, and they immediately are like, it's Norfolk, actually. Why the heck do you care? I don't know. It's just always been a funny one. Always been a funny one to me. Pocket, they can take their time. I'm still accumulating. This is very true. The more time that we are given, the more prepared we will be. Yeah, Frank, it's their country club and you're not invited. Hopefully that's about to change. Absolutely. Absolutely. I might have a lot of, man, why am I having such a struggle? George Carlin. I was trying to remember George Carlin's name. I may not agree with all of George Carlin's politics, but man, you got to admit, he was a funny guy. And even when you didn't agree with him, I still feel like he made some pretty good points on things. And so, yeah, that one where it's a big club and you're not invited could not be truer. Could not be truer. Mile High Trish, would that be on its own blockchain? When it comes to what the World Gold Council put out, that's what it sounds like. Essentially, what they want to put together is more of an accounting blockchain. They want to standardize the process of how are we going to have gold sitting in a vault or silver sitting in a vault? How's it going to move? How's it going to be accounted for? And then how are we going to go through and verify that the amount of digital supply that is circulating actually matches up with the amount of gold sitting inside of said vaults? That's what it sounds like. It sounds a little bit like an institutional terminal that they're building. That's what it sounds more like to me. It is more of an institutional terminal, but they say that it would be open for all access. And so in that way, it sounds like something that retail is going to be capable of utilizing as well. Leslie K, I made it. Just got out of a meeting. Welcome, Leslie K. I don't have Tether, but let's hope this all flows well. Leslie K, I'm just my opinion. I do not recommend holding dollars in Tether. If I'm going to make a trade, I'll absolutely use Tether because remember, that's what the vast majority of trading pairs are paired against. When you look around the blockchain space, you look at Bitcoin, you look at most exchanges, it's a lot easier to trade stablecoin for whatever it is that you're looking to make that swap to than it is to sit there and do the math of what portion of one Bitcoin is going to account or is going to result in, me buying one XRP. It's just a lot easier. So I do use Tether when I'm going to do something like that, but I do not keep my money in Tether because I don't trust them. They're a tool, in my opinion. All right. Franco, with the DTCC, is it possible that XRP will be taken off market and be especially used by countries around the world with a fixed price? Franco, I do not think that XRP will be taken off of market, but I've always had a little bit of a nuance to my faith in XRP. I don't believe that when it comes down to it, companies and countries are going to be trading XRP. What they're going to be trading is they're going to be trading the tokenized assets, the real world assets that are backed up by real, the tokens that they're going to launch on the XRP ledger, on the blockchain. You're going to pay those fees in XRP. That's going to result in the burning of XRP. It's going to lower the amount in circulation. We're going to actually start seeing XRP being pulled from circulating supply instead of being constantly added to it. I don't think, Franco, that we're going to see XRP be taken off the market. I think that we're going to see XRP ledger, which will have currencies that may be only available to countries or banks, but are going to be transacted with fees paid in XRP. To me, Franco, from a technology standpoint, that makes far more sense. And that fits the vision that Ripple Labs has been telling us about the entire time. It fits it far better. That's why we see RLUSD. That's why we see XRP so fascinated and focused on tokenizing, because that is what people are going to exchange. They're not going to exchange the XRP. They're going to spend the XRP. That's what's going to result in the value increase of XRP, because they're going to need to buy our XRP in order to send their tokenized gold. In order to make that transaction from one central bank to another central bank, they're going to have to spend XRP to do it. But I don't think they're going to send XRP all the time. That doesn't mean, Franco, that there won't be XRP being moved or being used to settle transactions. There will be. But I don't think it's going to be the majority. I think the vast majority of those cross-state, cross-country lines, cross-the-planet transactions, that major part of those trillions and trillions of dollars that move around this planet, they're not moving around because you and me are sending money. They're moving around because that money is flowing across banks, institutions, corporations, and countries. I think that is where we really hit the excitement on XRP. Because yes, the DTCC announcement's extremely important. It's connecting the XRP ledger to the traditional financial system. They're not saying that they plan on sending XRP across it. I think that they plan on sending their tokenized real world assets across it. And that's why we always hear people talk about, they're going to buy your XRP. They're going to buy your XRP. They're going to buy your XRP. They're going to buy your XRP because they're going to need to spend it to transact all of these real world tokenized assets. That's strongly what I believe on that one, Franco. I believe that is the argument for XRP and how valuable it can become. Because then we start to see XRP itself in an entirely different way. It is a utility token. And that's what it needs to be. What does XRP provide me? XRP provides me access to the global financial system. Not I send XRP on the global financial system. I need XRP to access the global financial system. I think that it's a little bit of a shift, but that's where I strongly believe that's what's going to lead to the massive increase in the value of XRP. And that's why we're going to see people coming and trying to buy it from us. They're going to want our XRP because they're going to need it. Not because they're going to send XRP, but because if they don't have XRP, they're not going to be able to send the things they do want to send. We need whatever that currency is that's transacting across the planet. It's got to be stable. It needs to be far more stable. Brooks, Zester, next time you come back home, stop by and I'll show you my silver cell. Produces 8 ounces per day as long as I keep feeding it. Oh, man, Neil, I got to check that out. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Don't go telling anybody where you live. No, not at all. That is too awesome. Oh, Christina, it is my pleasure. Good morning, Darren Rutt. All right, though. I'm going to miss the rest of my articles. We're at 45 minutes. Let me jump back on them. I'll keep answering questions, but let's get through a few of these. In particular, I'd really like to look at this one for a second. For those out there that keep hearing about quantum financial wallets and everything of the like, I really appreciated this article. Quantum risk is real, but not all crypto wallets are equally vulnerable. So says Galaxy Digital's Will Owens. Most crypto wallets aren't exposed to quantum risks, with vulnerabilities limited to cases where public keys are revealed. And so, this doesn't matter. You don't need a quantum computer. If somebody has publicly revealed their wallet keys, all you need is a set of 2 biological eyes. And congratulations, you now own their crypto. And so I thought this was a very, very good article because it is a conversation we're going to hear more and more about. The quantum risk to Bitcoin investors is real, but not all wallets are vulnerable, and the people best positioned to address it are working on it. Owen sent a report on Thursday that in theory, a quantum computer could derive private keys from public keys, allowing an attacker to impersonate the owner, forge a signature, and steal coins. However, he argued that not all wallets are equally vulnerable to this risk. In fact, most wallets are not vulnerable today. Funds are at risk only when public keys are exposed on-chain. Owen said that created 2 main ways wallets are exposed: those whose public keys are already visible, and wallets whose public keys are revealed in the time of spending. All right. And so I thought this one was a very interesting article. I definitely want to share this one over into chat for those that do have questions or do see people talking about this one, because quantum computing is a very, very real threat moving into the future. It absolutely is. But a lot of times people focus on things like cryptocurrency or blockchain technology and say that that is this big danger. If someone has a quantum computer, you shouldn't be worried about that. They can take over control of the world's nuclear weapons and they can extort as much money as they want. They have no reason to bankrupt your Bitcoin. They control the planet. I would not be concerned about controlling your internet money if I had that degree of power and I was a bad actor. A quantum computer is far more of a danger for our national security in a variety of other ways than it is in regards to any crypto wallet or any cryptocurrency. Ultimately, it could be utilized to do far more things, and it could do those things a lot easier. It could hack into the Pentagon. It could hack into NORAD. It could go and take over the Russian nuclear arsenal. Those things are very real concerns that quantum computing absolutely would be capable of. And the irony is, it would be easier for the quantum computer to do that than it would be for it to steal your XRP. And so always, I know that I bring that one up all the time. Folks are probably tired of hearing about the QFS wallets and how they irk me. But I think that this is a great article to be able to share for maybe some of those folks out there. If you know some folks that do have that very serious fear and they are scared of where their crypto is at, whether their crypto is going to get taken from them because of something like quantum computing, I think articles like this can go a long way in terms of placing that danger into context. It is real. But think about it strategically. There's a lot more nuance to it. And your wallet's actually probably already quantum secure. The blockchain is very unique when it comes to cryptographies. It is far stronger than what people give it credit for. That supercomputer would have to take over 300 and some thousand different unique nodes around the planet all simultaneously, and then issue its entire operation. And in doing so, it would make the very thing that it's stealing valueless. Because if you go around and you shut down the entire, it'd make it valueless. So it wouldn't even make sense to steal it, because once you stole it, what would you do with it? No one would want to buy it anymore. And so just one. I can never stop. But yeah, absolutely, Frank. No such thing as a QFS. It's the blockchain. Yep. It's blockchain technology. The entire description and definition that has been presented for the QFS is literally just a ripoff of the definition of a blockchain. It's a blockchain. That is the new financial system. I'll get off of my podium on that one. All right. Coinbase launches 24/7 stock perps for non-US traders. Non-US traders, man. This is why we want the darn Clarity Act done. This is an excellent example because we keep hearing about Coinbase offering tokenized stocks. Gemini's offering tokenized stocks. Kraken's offering tokenized stocks. All these companies are all US based and they're offering tokenized US stocks. But guess what? Not to Americans. And so, yes, at this point in time, Coinbase 24/7 stock perps, but not for us. Coinbase launched stock perpetual futures for non-US traders, expanding its push to offer round-the-clock asset access to multiple asset classes. So, as of literally this morning, in a Friday blog post, Coinbase said the product was not available to US persons at the current time, but it's working to expand this offering to additional regions in the future. Contracts are available on Coinbase Advanced for retail users and Coinbase International Exchange for institutions, offering leveraged cash-settled exposure to major US stocks and indices, including Apple, Nvidia, and in a format familiar to crypto traders. Working to expand this offering to additional regions in the future. When you hear that, guys, what you're hearing is the second that the Crypto Clarity Act is passed, and assuming nothing changes on that front, you're about to see all of these tokenized stocks and these different tokenized assets being offered to US citizens. The only reason that it's not right now is because of that legislative uncertainty. And so I think we can pretty much get a little bit of we can look into the the magic 8 ball and get a little bit of an answer of what we're going to be seeing in the States based off of what's being launched right now internationally. The second we see that Crypto Clarity Act, we're going to see all of these offerings start piling into the United States. And that's when you're going to really see the United States financial system ramp up its tokenization efforts. All right. And well, we didn't talk about this one yet because I'm just tired. I'm really tired of the entire thing when it comes down to the overall prices of cryptocurrency and the different things that we're being told about what's causing price to go up, down, sideways, left, right, whichever direction you so choose. Every single darn time. It is always something that doesn't make any sense. But there is one common theme here: uncertainty. And so, top reasons why ETH, XRP, Doge, Sol, ADA are dropping suddenly. Well, it follows reports of an attack on Iran's South Pars gas field. What the heck does the price of oil have to do with the price of your Bitcoin? Well, it doesn't. But what we're seeing across the world, and this is the one true universal, it's uncertainty. And that's what you see in the stock market. That's what you see in gold. That's what you see in crypto. That's what you see everywhere. It's uncertainty. And it really doesn't matter anything more than that. It's just that people are kind of in a little bit of a frozen state. Uncertainty drives financial markets crazy because they stop acting logically. Ultimately, if somebody came out and said, hey, guys, the global economy is going to crash, it's about to happen, there's no more conversation to be had, I think that the markets would respond better to that than they would the continuation of the overall uncertainty. I strongly believe that at this point, we would actually see better movement on bad news than we're going to continue seeing on this uncertain news. Absolutely believe that one because we're seeing it across the board. It's not just cryptocurrency. It's across the board. It's not that folks think World War III is going to happen tomorrow. It's not that folks are positive that the markets are going to bounce back tomorrow. No one knows. It's just uncertain. And that means logic is hanging out in somebody else's house. Deborah, Epicenter LLC, FUD. Fear, uncertainty, doubt. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Absolutely. FUD's the world we live in right now. It's not a matter of logic. It doesn't matter. It just really doesn't matter. And I don't think that we're going to get out of that phase until we start to see some really catalyzing events on the crypto side. And even then, I don't think we can genuinely get entirely out of it as just keeping crypto segregated from the rest of the financial system. I don't really think that we can get out of it until we also have a little bit more of a certainty on the rest of these things. It doesn't have to make sense. Franco, because truth is stronger than the lies. It will prevail. It will prevail. I just wish I knew which day it will prevail. Bitcoin whale holding $147 million wakes up after 13 years and he makes a tiny $56 transfer. All right, guys. Well, these little stories are always interesting because of the nature of a transparent and public blockchain. You can see when major moves happen. What I really wanted to show here, though, and what I think somebody has probably already immediately shouted it at the screen. This guy has $147 million, and guess what he did? He sent a test transaction. And so this guy knew to buy Bitcoin 13 years ago. He's got to be extremely tech savvy. And guess what? The first thing he did when he opened that wallet back up, he sent a test transaction. I think it's a great, great, great lesson to everybody. You are never, ever, ever enough of an expert in cryptocurrency or blockchain to not send test transactions. I know that everybody else probably looked at this and said $147 million and he didn't touch it in 13 years. That's probably what got most everyone else's attention. It's not what got mine. What got mine was his first transaction was $56. You got $147 million to your name. And you're like, I'm not risking more than $56 on this. I found that to be quite interesting. It cracked me up. I know everybody else is just, focused on the fact that he now has $147 million and access to it. I get the biggest kick out of the fact that he sent a test transaction. Remember, guys, always send test transactions. Even if you have $147 million worth of crypto, send a test transaction before you do anything else. Absolutely. All right. A very interesting one. This is what we're going to end on. This will be our last article of the day. And it's really a very interesting debate on this entire front. Decentralized finance. You guys have heard me talk about it. You've seen DeFi all over the place, whether you want to or not. Something that is set to occur with the Crypto Clarity Act is a massive opening up for innovation. And that includes in the decentralized finance space. Now, a very important question. DeFi platforms are decentralized. They do not have the same degree of control over funds. They do not have the same KYC requirements. It's a whole other space. It's designed that way. It's meant to operate in a way that no centralized figure can control. Now, that means that a lot of different things can be built on it. Examples being things like Tornado Cash. Tornado Cash is a crypto mixer. You put money in, you put crypto in, and crypto pops out the other side into a wallet you own with absolutely zero paper trail to ever track where it came from. So this service has been utilized by countless criminals around the world to hide their ill-gotten crypto gains. That's bad. right? But here's the important question. Is it the developer's fault that someone did that with it? Because there's completely legitimate uses to a lot of DeFi tools, but also there's the possibility that someone could exploit it or use it for malicious acts. What do we do about that? This is kind of more of a philosophical type article and debate. This is one where I can see every different side of the argument. There's an argument to be made all around. And it's very, very, very similar to a lot of the arguments that all of us Second Amendment supporters have heard regularly for a very long time. A very, very long time. Is it the gun manufacturer's fault that some guy, some whoever they may be on antidepressants or the like decides to do something awful with a firearm? Is it Smith & Wesson's fault? No, it's not. It shouldn't be, and it doesn't make any sense that it would be. We're having that same conversation in cryptocurrency right now. And so I think it's an important one to be aware of the fact that conversations being had. I think that it's something that I can understand differing people's opinions on. But the libertarian in me and the freedom loving mentality to me means that we have to accept that you're allowed to write the anarchist's cookbook. You're allowed to write it. It's not his fault that people choose to do things with it. You're allowed to manufacture firearms. It's not your fault what people choose to do with it. You're allowed to create decentralized financial platforms. It's not your fault what criminals choose to do with it. It's an important conversation. And the reason that I bring it up right now is because Republican lawmakers are not viewing it the same way as they're viewing firearms or other things. There are Republican lawmakers that are saying DeFi developers should be held responsible. And that's something I don't like to see. I don't want to hear that from the Democratic side. I don't want to hear that from the Republican side. I don't want to hear that from any side. And we are hearing it. And there's a logical disconnect occurring amongst lawmakers and a lot of talking heads where they're sitting there and they're defending the idea that developers should be potentially held responsible for what their products are used for. I don't believe they should be. And that's a very, 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 very dangerous slope. If we start going down that and saying that manufacturers, producers, developers, creators are responsible for what any insane person around the world decides to do with their creation, there is no end to it. Ultimately, there's no end to where that can reach. And in this DeFi space, I think it's particularly important that we do not handicap ourselves as a nation. We want to be the nation that is at the forefront of this new financial system. And we can't do that if we're not allowed to be at the forefront of innovation. And so here's an article that I'll also toss into the chat for folks that are interested in digging into it. It's a thought-provoking subject because you can very easily see, okay, well, how do we figure this out? How do we know the creator didn't intend for it to be used maliciously? I don't know. We can't read his mind. Maybe he just told us that it was supposed to be used for legitimate reasons. It gets way into the weeds. And I think that when you take it out of that context and you take that logic and you start applying it to other parts of society and the world we live in, you go, wait a second, why are we having this debate? This same logic applied anywhere else is self-evidently unjust or self-evidently a bad idea. And so with that, guys, we are at an hour, and we were at an hour and 4 minutes and 20 seconds right there. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping it up. Thank you guys so much for joining. Remember, on Monday, it's going to be noon Eastern Standard Time for the stream start on Monday. Wednesdays, though, I don't know yet. I'm most likely just going to be sitting there kind of ready to jump in whenever Andy is done. But I'm certain as the weeks continue to flow, we'll get it into a bit more of a routine. and then we'll kind of know the exact timing. But that will be the new regular schedule. I'm going to be jumping in some Wednesdays, getting to chat with Andy. Some days we'll just be doing our own separate thing after Andy. And then I'm assuming on days when Andy has things and he's busy, you may see me jump in a little bit earlier. So all of that's going to be a little bit in flux, but I'm very excited for it. And I hope that folks in the community benefit from getting that more consolidated, less hellos, less question and answer, more of just, hey, here's your update for the week. All right, though, guys. Love you all. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you again on Monday. Peace.